Positive and negative space. When we look back in history, we see that photography actually uses the same principles for positive and negative space. Long time ago, black and white photography was done on film. The film actually presented itself as its negative counterpart. When a camera took a photo, the light that filtered into the lens created an impression on a film. People would have to work in a dark room to take that negative and transfer it onto photo paper to get the positive image. That room had to be extremely dark. Often only red lights were able to be used for the processing. Here in this image, you can see an example on the top of negative film of 4 people. When processed in a dark room with all the chemicals, it created a positive picture. Take a look at the suits that the men are wearing. In the negative film, you can see that they have white suits, but in its positive form, they're actually black. In art, when describing a shape and form, we often use the words positive and negative space. Normally, this is how we see positive and negative space in our everyday lives. The object we look at and see in front of us are the positive space objects. Everything else, like the air and space between the objects, are what we would consider as the negative space. This is easier explained in this silhouette, but we need to get used to seeing it around us in real life also. Here is a potted plant. It's simplified, but it is showing the positive space as the plant, and the negative space is all the space around the plant and the in-between parts where the leaves aren't. Okay, now let's look at it in real life. Here's a potted plant in a basket, and if we were to designate all the blue sections of our negative space, we can see how the plant is positive and the blue is now the negative space. Negative space definition. It is the space between an object, around an object, but is not part of the actual object itself. It is the opposite of an identifiable object, which can at the same time be used to help define the boundaries of positive space. Looking at this picture, can you see another image in the negative space? In Rubens' vase illusion, you can see how in this popular image, when noticing the black vase first in the center, it means you are seeing the vase itself as positive space and the white area around it as the negative space. If your eyes switch and recognize the white as more important and predominant, then the opposite happens. Noticing the white faces means you are now seeing them as the positive space, and the black area now the negative space. Your eyes will move between these two spaces and your mind will decide what it wants to see as important to you. Sometimes artists want to have a play between positive and negative space for interest. Just like the vase example, an artist may have a plan to show you images within both positive and negative sections. Can you see the face of the woman that the man is serenading? This is a painting called the Corpo Violet. It was a watercolor painting made for a greeting card. Can you see if you can find Napoleon and his wife between the leaves? Sometimes the play between makes optical illusions. In designs, you want to find balance. Here are 3 images where it shows the different use of positive and negative space. On the far left, we have complete balance, equal amounts of both. In the center, there's more negative space than there is positive. It makes it look really open, kind of a little empty. On the far right, it's mostly positive space. Negative space can be used as the main subject in a composition itself, sometimes to the extent where it takes on an identifiable shape defined by its surrounding positive space. First we see the birds here, then the tree, the gorilla and the tiger, and finally the fish. Graphic designers like to play with positive and negative space, creating an interesting design where negative space comes into the positive space to create more interest. Here you can see that with the arms and the outer edge reaching down and becoming part of the hands that hold the cars. If you were given an image like this for an example, and I asked you to draw just the negative space, I would like you to look at the ram and the ground as the positive space. What do you think the negative space would look like in black? Here's the example of the negative space. You can see that negative space contains interesting shapes too. Drawing just the negative space can improve your drawing skills when struggling to draw something in the positive space. For example, I might not have drawn the legs right originally, but looking at the negative shapes instead, I feel like I could be more accurate in drawing them. Here's just a simplified area of each by the horn and the legs to show you how the simplified shapes are working out. In your sketchbook, you are going to pick one image from the 4 images I've given as choices in the following slides. Trying to use only the shapes and lines that are the negative space, draw the negative space only. Fill in the negative space with fun color choices. You might want to have fun with tints and shades, lights, darks, textures, hue intensities, and so on. Do not draw anything in your positive space. Leave this area completely white. You will be marked on the following: accuracy of negative space shapes drawn, clean, neatly drawn contour lines of your negative shapes, neatly colored pencil crayons, so pencil crayons being used in the same direction, good coverage, consistency, no gaps within the negative shapes, and creative color choices. Here is choice 1. If all the rocks are the positive shapes, draw the negative. Choice 2. If the chair, man, light, and 2 triangular light umbrellas and stand are the positive shapes, draw the negative. Choice 3. If the stone sculpture and the birds are the positive shapes, draw the negative. And choice 4. If the chair and floor are the positive shapes, draw the negative. Good luck with your drawings in your sketchbook.